morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser. It's Monday, so Grumpy is in the house only because he kind of has to be because it is Monday. But more importantly, Matush is here in a very unique environment. So explain yourself.
I plead the fifth. I choose not to say anything. No, I'm currently homeless, bouncing in between homes. So this is this week's setup. Next
Oh,
week,
really? Like you guys are literally bouncing around?
from
Oh, okay. I thought you guys were there until you moved
no,
to your
we're
house.
doing no. I wish. So we're doing one parents for a couple days, the other parents for a couple days, and then switch and switch and switch and switch. So yeah, Cersei, don't get used to this. Don't get used to it.
So yeah, that has to be tricky. I thought it was like at least stationary, so that would make it happen. But at least you made it happen. You made it work over here. It did seem odd when you first came on. I was like, who's this kind of a deal? But how was Christmas?
Christmas was good. Christmas was good. Worked Christmas Eve until about 3 o'clock, and then afterwards, had a big Christmas Eve dinner with my family, and then 2-3 hours after that, had a big Christmas Eve dinner with her family. We ate the same exact things again. 'Cause, Polish people, they don't deviate much from the traditions of.
Oh, wait. Now it's getting juicy. What is traditional? You didn't have that Jello pea crap, did you?
No,
Oh, good. Thank God.
not
That
for Christmas.
that will ruin Christmas.
because there's no meat on Christmas Eve. So pretty much I had a bunch of fish, like a ton of fucking fish.
Really? Is this a Polish thing? Is the Christian thing? Since I'm not religious nor Christian, obviously.
I think it's more of a Catholic thing.
Okay.
The Italians do it as well, like the seven fishes. We don't specifically do 7. There just has to be 12 plates, or 12 dishes. And usually 5 or 6 of them are fish. And then the rest are just little side salads. There's no
Wait, so the sides don't even count as dishes?
The sides do count as dishes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So like if you have mashed potatoes.
Yes. Well, actually,
but you don't have mashed potatoes, probably.
No potatoes on Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Again, wait, no meat or potatoes. Like a very anti-American.
Anti-Irish, anti-American. Yeah, no, it wouldn't work out. So yeah, it's not every Polish family does the no potatoes thing. But somehow both my family and Michelle's family does. But I've learned that other Polish families do potatoes. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, but no meat. That's the one thing that everyone does agree on.
I was not aware of this. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't even know what those things are. I know what pierogi is. Delicious. Are there pierogies involved?
Pierogi are involved. Usually they're either with cheese or with cabbage and or mushroom, which is really good. Which is what Cersei was saying in that first time. It was borscht and uszka. So uszka translates to pretty much little ears.
Delicious.
Ears. And so borscht is beet soup. And so you do a beet soup, and those uszka are little ears. So they're pretty much like little dumplings with either cabbage or mushrooms in them. And then you put that in the soup, and that's the first course. And that's usually like the hit of Christmas Eve every year.
There's no way Cersei knows these. Like, it's just Google working. Like you're overheating your Google over here, typing a bunch of Polish stuff. There's no way you know all this stuff. And not only that, the spelling of them.
Makowiec is actually it's a pastry. It's like a cake.
Yeah, he's just typing stuff up over there. It's like Polish foods. Google, give me Polish foods, kind of a thing. See, I did not know about these things. So yeah, obviously, then when you go from house to house, it does eliminate the possibility of variety. Except that's a lot of fish.
It is a lot of
one
fish
day
for one night. Yeah, it is a lot of fish. But it's you don't eat like that every day. I mean, some people do, but I don't eat like that every day. So it's fine every once in a while. Once a year, I should say, I guess. How was your Christmas?
Not bad. We switched things up, I think, last year, so we stuck with that. It's like we used to do like the prime rib and stuff like that. No, it was just like a full blown awesome steak dinner, kind of a dinner. The girls were home, so it's just us four. So it was fun, yeah. Good times. And then it was Layla's birthday on Saturday because she has that birthday where you use a gift and a gift again, kind of a deal. So we went actually downtown to Lincoln Park Zoo, the saddest zoo of them all. Have you ever been to Lincoln Park Zoo?
Once many years ago, but I don't think I went in the winter. No wonder it's sad though. It's cold outside.
Well, they put lights and stuff. They do the same thing on Brookfield. If you go to a zoo, but I mean, like if you're against zoos, like Lincoln Park Zoo is your case study. So it's your proof that you bring to court. You're like, look at the animals at Lincoln Park. So that's the one. I mean, if you're not familiar, Matush and I are both in Chicago. So there's the Brookfield Zoo, which is like a nicer zoo where animals actually have room to roam around and they have their own habitat and stuff like that. And then there's the Lincoln Park Zoo where the animals live like bums, pretty much like in a little cardboard box. They put the tiger in, like there's 3 lions on top of each other in one exhibit and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a very, very sad. I know as I get older, I feel worse and worse for the animals anyway. Obviously, when the girls were little, we were constantly in Brookfield Zoo and stuff. And yeah, I get the educational aspect of it. But yeah, I mean, you look at those animals, they are freaking miserable at Lincoln Park. So you didn't get to see much of the animals. We walked by the lion exhibit and they were all passed out, mind you. But afterwards it was just like watching the lights, which were kind of lame, to be honest with you. Lincoln Park is just the next step up from Shanghai. I mean, pretty much that is correct. That is right. I don't know who Michael Olunga is. So that's gonna have to, and I'm gonna have to. Oh, okay. Yeah, I still don't know who Michael Olunga is after looking at it. But it's a striker, so it's not gonna happen. So let's get to the game. Did you get to actually watch the game within this chaos, or the
Yeah,
weekend? I know everybody was all over the place. So
we're talking about yesterday, right? Not Boxing Day.
yesterday, yes. Yeah, I guess it's been 2 games since we were
Yeah.
live.
So we took my niece to there's a children's museum in Glenview called the Cole Children's Museum. And they had a Thomas the Train exhibit, and she's been obsessed with Thomas the Train recently. So we went there. So
Thomas still hanging in there, man. The generations of trains.
And the graphics of the show, I'm using graphics like game terms. They haven't changed. Thomas still looks the same as he did as I remember from 25.
You haven't aged a bit.
Not one way or the other. And so I had it recorded and just had my phone on do not disturb so that I had no spoilers whatsoever. So afterwards I came back to the house and was able to watch it. And after the first half, I was like, fuck it. I can go on wherever I want to go on right now. But I still ended up not looking at anywhere where the score would have been. But yeah, I was able to watch the whole thing, which was fantastic. It was probably, man, do you feel like it was probably one of the easiest games that we've had in a long time, like a very long, in terms of, it didn't even look like we ever got into second gear, let alone got out of second gear. Like I feel like it was just coasting from maybe after the 12th minute ish. The first 10-15 minutes were a little rocky, but after that it was just coast.
Honestly, even then, I know what you mean though, because we give, like the Robertson kind of like loses the ball there. We kind of like, give him an opportunity and stuff. But yeah, I think you're probably right in terms of like the easiest watching in some ways, like the most relaxed watching. At no point, and we did a live watch along with Kazi. We were looking at the 9 o'clock games on the Goal Rush and stuff like that, and we were talking about the game during then. And I was like, as always, I was a little worried, but I mean, the moment the game started, it just felt like, oh, okay, we got this today. I don't know. I can't explain why. It just the way the team kind of like handles certain situations, the way we move the ball, the calmness and I don't know if it was like, I can't tell if we were this good or is West Ham this bad, because we had all the time in the world. It seemed like I did like a post-match video that went out like yesterday evening So shameless plug over here. If you have not seen it, go ahead and check it out on the channel and let me know what you think, because it was my first attempt at it. But it just felt like we had like 14 players or something, and they had like 11.
Yeah, it was really great to see, and all 5 goals coming from 5 different players too. That's really nice, kind of spreading the wealth there. Could have been 10. I think people keep saying it could have been 10. Salah could have had a hat trick himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really weird, you guys. It's really weird because it feels like we shouldn't be in this situation. We shouldn't be in this position. Before the season started, there's no chance that we would have ever been sitting here day before New Year's Eve going, wow, this team one of the more dominant Liverpool sides that we've seen in a while. I mean, when you think about just the context of how they're able to control the game, if this is sustainable, for 2-3 years, I mean, you're going to have people start arguing that Slot's Liverpool is better than Klopp's Liverpool.
Yeah, right. Because you're assuming, I mean, it's only going to get better in some ways. Because, I mean, you would have thought starting the season, most people did not see us as title contenders because there was going to be growing pains. We didn't bring anybody new in and stuff like that. So if you go with the growing pains thing, if these are the growing pains, I'll take it. And it's only going to get better from here. I mean, barring injuries and stuff like that, it's been nice that I think that's another thing that we maybe all expected, because the contract situation affects us for some reason, but it doesn't have to have seemed to affect the team or the players involved, most importantly. And the team, though, like it would be first the players involved, which you would think spill over to the team, maybe because of the personalities that are, I think this is probably unfair to Diaz. I don't know why I'm picking Diaz, but like if Diaz had a contract situation like this, I feel like the effect would be more than a guy like Mo. I know that's unfair to Diaz just because of how, like Mo carries himself professionally, like how focused on the sport he is and being good and stuff like that, where he can tune that stuff out. Not every player can tune all that out. I think it helps that, there were some experienced guys going through this and not somebody like, I don't know, like if it was like Holland or somebody. I don't know. Do you see what I mean though? Like I just feel like it would not carry over the same way.
They emotionally, they're different players, they're different kind of people, and like you're saying, emotionally, some people can rein that in on the pitch, others can't, right? And so I think because the context, at least that we have for Lucho, is the whole situation with his dad, right? So I think we have that experience to go back on to
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah,
to see why we might feel that way. Because yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and he had to go through that stuff. So I don't think it's totally unfair to say that to him. It's just, if anything, it's just who he is as a person. Not to say that Mo is a robot, but he is able to kind of to put himself into these boxes where, I'm in the footballing box right now, and then he's at home. Who knows what he's like at home, right? I mean, no one ever knows, unless you live in that home. But he's like he's family and dad Mo at home and doesn't do anything sports related or whatever the case might be. So yeah, I think he's much more apt at being able to keep all those separate, because he's just a freak. He just wants to break every record. He wants to keep himself in the best shape. Like I think he wants to play till he's 45. That's what he looks like.
Yes.
Think of him physically. He wants to be like that guy in Japan that played till he was 50. Like he wants to keep going and break every possible record. And we might be watching the greatest individual Premier League season of all time right now.
Yeah, I honestly think we are. And honestly, he didn't have one of his best games in terms of finishing yesterday. But still, like some of the things he did, like like some of the movement, that's the move he does, it almost looks unintentional. It was intentional. He said the first one was kind of unintentional, but the second one was, and stuff like that. But the one he does at the end, the pass to Jota, which you knew your boy Jota would finish that. The moment the pass rolled over him, I was like, that's in. And that's what I love about Jota. Like I knew that was going in the moment he rolled the ball that way, because it was passed perfectly for him to finish that too. But yeah, I mean, he was just like, he is one of those guys of all people. Michael Owen was talking about this yesterday. I caught like a clip off of a show, like one of the post match shows about. And I agree that Mo is like almost like driven to a point of obsession, craziness, kind of a deal. Like like only certain people that's like a Michael Jordan or like a Kobe Bryant or something like that. I mean, like you have talents already, but on top of that, you have some like ridiculous, over the top, crazy obsession of getting better, 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 like nonstop. That's all you live for, is being the best, kind of a deal. That's not something that's why there's only so many of these people, because that's really hard to do, especially when you're really, really good already, when you're pretty much on top. It's very hard to still have that drive to keep going, 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 right? I mean, human nature, you're just like, look at this. Like, no, it's just like, keep going.
And you have to be lucky enough to be able to physically be able to do that, right? We've seen in many sports, the careers of a lot of guys get cut short because their bodies just can't sustain what they want their bodies to do. And when you have the situation where you're able to be as sustainable as you've been, with the work ethic that you have, with the obsessive nature that you have, like you're talking about, all that recipe is a recipe for being one of the best ever, right? I mean, I think the closest thing that I can think of in this sport would probably be Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, he is
yes,
he's just a little bit more obsessed with himself. I think like just as an image of himself, whereas Mo is obsessed with who he is as a footballer, like, and what he will be known for as a footballer. Whereas
that's fair.
Cristiano is obsessed with Cristiano, with the brand,
Yeah.
And so, but not to discredit what he's done, because he was the greatest player on the pitch for many years. We can go back and forth with Ronaldo and Messi all day, and some years it would have been one, some years it would have been the other. But he was able to have one of those careers because of just how well he took care of himself, and that he was able to play without getting hurt. I think we take for granted some of these guys that don't get hurt often. It's just, sometimes it's just genetics, man, and it's not always fair. It happens. So you got to appreciate what someone's able to do if they're able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Some of it is genetics, some of it is luck. Some of it is how you take care of yourself. I mean, sometimes like you look at Joe Gomez, for example. The poor kid gets injured again with a hammy, and I just feel for him, because I think he's such a good player, such a good personality, such a good human. It looks like, from at least what we see, and like just like injury after injury, and unlucky ones too. Some of them have been just like unlucky, brutal tackles and stuff like that. But then obviously this was like a hammy. But this is Mo from yesterday. So 18 appearances, he has 17 goals and 13 assists now. I think Gordo was saying earlier that 8 games with a goal and assist. Most of the season has been 7, and I guess that was Bruno the Red guy in 2021. So I mean, that's just crazy. We're halfway into the season, and this is what I think, maybe that's why the team is well above expectations. But I was talking about this yesterday. Like, you can look at the title race, which I'll throw the standings up here too. But I mean, you can talk about the title race, and you can kind of says, like, who you're going up against and stuff. But one thing that Liverpool has that I don't think, like, for example, Arsenal has, who I still see as the biggest team that's going to kind of like run, give you a run for it. The front line of Liverpool is way better than any of these other teams. And it's one thing to have depth, right? And we haven't even seen Chiesa. He's still like, getting in shape and stuff like that. I think we'll start seeing him now with all these like FA Cup games and some Champions League games and stuff. But I mean, they're in form. Like, it's one thing to have depth and then more carry the load. But no, you look at what Gakpo is doing. You look at what Diaz is doing. Jota comes in, he scores a goal. Poor Nunez is the only one kind of out of the equation. But, like, everybody is performing as well. They're not just there and, we have depth, so if Mo goes out of form, this guy will kick in, kind of a deal. No, like, I don't know, do you think that's because of Mo's form, or something that we're doing in the system that's everybody's kind of thriving?
I think sometimes you just hit that perfect storm. That magic feeling, like Leicester had it in that year in 16, 17. I think Liverpool had it in 2019 or 19 2019 2020, right? I think you just have some of those years where everything just seems to be working. And I don't know if there's specifically an answer. You know, we could talk about Slot, we could talk about his his tactics. We can talk about what he's doing behind doors. We can talk about how each player has given themselves another year to be able to play with each other. You know, sort of that midfield revolution that we had last year that didn't necessarily come together because there were a lot of new parts all at once. So
Yeah.
we can credit another year of growth and chemistry to that because when you look at it, and you're talking about depth. I mean, if you have McAllister, Gravenberch, Soboslai, and Jones stay healthy, and you can rotate 3 out of those 4 every game, and they play the same role that they can play wherever they're at, and keep that going. I mean, that's really big. I think people forget how important it is to have just a consistent identity, a consistent midfield like that, a consistent purpose, if you will. And so it's just I think we're just seeing something that everything is just clicking at once, and it obviously helps that Mo's having an incredible year, um, but at the same time, he could have had similar numbers if some chances were finished last year or the year before.
Yeah.
You know, like it's he's had the chances there for him and his teammates. It's that they're going in now, and that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it is clicking, and I think maybe we go back. Everybody complained a lot, including us to some extent, in terms of like not signing anybody and like being like staying put in the transfer season and stuff like that. But it has kind of really paid off, and that's why as we go into January now, my favorite time of year, where we talk about like all these transfer rumors back again. I'm gotta be really careful in messing with this. While I do agree, maybe you need some more depth, like in midfield and stuff, like to give Gravenberg and McAllister. I think that's the only spot that you kind of have to help those guys get some more minutes. And if Endo is not that player, which yesterday I thought he did well, but you can already tell when Endo comes in, it's different. It's just different. So while he can do a job and finish off a game like he did yesterday, I don't think it's like an even replacement. Nick says looks like a one-horse race so far. Hopefully not, actually. Hopefully it will be boring as fuck the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going for, because I think that's when you can kind of kick back and not stress over any of the games as you watch it. I think that's a good point. I mean, I consider City totally out of it at this point. I mean, that's just way too many points, and they're not that good to be able to come back from the point deficit. I know you were kind of still on the fence. I think they have lost points again since. Are you now? Can you put them in the rear? Like you can't even see City in the rear view mirror anymore. Oh, come on!
Things of the mirror are closer than what they appear, right? That's what they say on there. So this is very much like the boogeyman, right? And you don't want to rule out the boogeyman until he's actually gone. So until they're mathematically unable to catch up to us, I'm still gonna see them behind me somewhere. It might be far. Like it might be from one penalty box to the other, all the way down, but they're there still. And that's you just have to, because
14-point difference, and we have a game in hand.
But just you have to look at it historically and what they've been capable of doing over the last 6-7 years. That's all.
Which I agree, but I don't think they're capable of doing that anymore.
We've said, or I mean, maybe not all of us, but we've probably had moments throughout the last 6-7 years, especially during some of those stretches where we go, there's no way they could actually go do another stretch like that, could they? And they do every time. So while yes, I'm more on the boat of they don't have that thing this year. They don't have it this year.
Yeah.
That same feeling. It is also the only sort of example we have of a team that's able to make that kind of run. So until they're mathematically eliminated, I'm still just going to just pump the brakes ever so slightly because we've been hurt a lot before. And
I guess, but you have basically on paper, I mean, 14 points, even if you tie with Everton and that game in hand, is 15 points. That's 5-game difference, 19 games to go.
We lose Van Dijk, and who knows what the hell happens. I don't know. It's just I'm more so not I'm not saying that City can have a perfect run where they win 19 games in a row. It's more so they win 16 out of 19 and we have a rough second half of the season where we get some injuries and we start feeling some things.
That would mean we would have to win 11 out of 19 and lose 8 games.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds far-fetched given that Slot's only lost once this entire year between both clubs. It seems ridiculous to think, but I don't know.
No, I thought I was the pessimist.
It's self-preservation, Timochin. Because
I normally do that, but I've even stopped doing it with them. I still think Arsenal and maybe Chelsea are in the race, and even then, you're talking about 9 points with Arsenal, 10 points with Chelsea. I would consider them still like in the race. I know actually Forest is closer. I just don't think. I mean, they've only scored 26 goals. I was talking about this on the video yesterday. I mean, they've scored as many as most teams that are like 13th, 14th. They just don't concede. I don't think that's sustainable when a team can't score goals regularly.
Jose Mourinho's Chelsea didn't score goals.
Not this little.
They scored some, but not that. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't this bad, man. I mean, it's like literally 26. I mean, that's amazing, by the way. 26 goals in 19 games, and they have 37. They have like 11 wins. So,
what if they beat us in 2 weeks?
Which is really likely because it's a tough away game.
Do you consider them title contenders then, is what I'm asking?
No.
Still no?
No.
Well, if anything, no one can give a shit for the loss against Forest now because it was a loss against the second place team. So
I mean, you're 8 points ahead of them with a game in hand right now. So even if they beat you, you're 5 points ahead of them with a game in hand right now. And I feel like, I just don't see Forest going on like a crazy run.
I don't either, but I think it would make things very interesting if they did beat us at the City Ground. But I don't. I think they're still a year away. I think it's impressive what they've done, and I think we should give them credit for what they've done so far. But I don't think it's a sustainable kind of way to win. Like you're saying, they just don't score enough, and it's one thing to not concede, but it's another thing if you don't concede and also don't score, because that's a recipe for draws, and that doesn't really.
And I think that's what like it's going to be a bunch of like there's going to be a 0-0, there's going to be a 1-1 and stuff. That's I think like the issue that Arsenal is having. Really, they don't score a lot of goals. They have scored 10 goals less than us, for example, so far. I think I mean, I don't even agree that they're like a year away. I think Forest is one of those teams that there are times where like everything seems to be going well, and you kind of feel that comfort, and it just, you're like, whatever we do, we somehow win. And then you kind of like play with that. But then once you have a couple of hiccups, that goes away. I can even make an argument that they don't finish in the top 4. Will you take that bet? I say Forest does not finish in the top 4 because that bubble eventually bursts, I think, with teams like that, especially with teams that can't score a goal. Like, and we're talking about injuries and stuff. If something happened to Chris Wood, they'd be like dead, because I'm the 26. God knows how many Chris Wood has. I would have to look it up, and I'm too lazy right now. But, I just don't see it continuing. The only thing going for them is there's like a huge gap between 4th and 5th right now in terms of like 4 points. But I would have more faith, going back to what you're saying, City turning things around on winning 3-4 in a row, and Forest's kind of falling off and dropping 3-4 games in a row.
So do you think Forest will still get a spot in Europe, 5th or 6th? I think
so. I think so.
Because I mean, I'm a degenerate, so I'll gamble because
let's do this.
Life's fun that way. But I don't know if top 4 is enough. That might be too rich for my blood. I don't know if someone
made them a title contender. What?
No, I didn't. I said if they beat us in 2 weeks, then it can be interesting. I didn't use the word title contender. I asked you if you think they would be, and you said no. That's what I was saying. If someone in the comments can think of a good idea for this bet, I'll take Forest for the top 4 if we get a fun bet idea against you.
Nick said that's what they said to Leicester in 2016. Yeah, I understand that, but I don't think
that team was different. That team,
yeah, And I
They
think it was I mean, they had some real stars on that team that ended up being even bigger stars afterwards. But I think it's just they didn't have anybody that they were going against. I feel like they're going against Liverpool right now, like a team that's rolling. They just did not. It was kind of like a chaos, and then they just kind of like squeezed through. And that's why it's such a great story, because I don't think it'll happen again. Dave is saying don't do it. But it depends on what the house is. Come to his house and give him a massage on camera during the show. Okay, first of all, we're trying to keep this a family show. Second of all,
I don't have a house.
but second of all, yeah, Mateusz needs a house. So I don't think that works. I'm like, which parents' house am I coming to?
Oh, God. You just show up. You just to either parents' house and go, yeah, I'm just here to give him a massage. And they're like, well, we don't really understand.
You guys have cameras though, right? Like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna fly with the family as well. So, or Michelle, or Angie, anybody involved, I don't think is gonna be going for that. So, but yeah, I would take that bet. If Forrest give the FA Cup, I don't think FA Cup is that big of a thing, is it? I mean, I guess that's a good point in some ways, because a team like Forest, can they go? Can they play like 3 times a week and stuff like that? I just don't think, because of the goals scored. I just go back to that. I mean, you look at the standings; they've scored as many as Villa, and then afterwards, I only screenshot the first 12, but we're talking like 14th, 15th. I think is like the number of goals they've scored.
Who's down there? 14.
I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I look, and then I was like, "Where's United? Are they a threat in the title race and stuff like that?" I looked. I'm like, I looked in between 9 and 10, and maybe they fell in there somewhere, but no, they're not there.
There's got to be a mistake.
Or Spurs.
There's got to be a mistake. Something. It's photoshopped.
So she says the show has not been a family show since Gordo has been on. Yes, Gordo and his college stories and girlfriend stories has really ruined us for years to come. But so yeah, I mean, ultimately, great performance, easiest performance, like you were saying. I mean, I did not, even when we had that, gave up that chance with the robo error, I just never felt like if we fell behind, it was similar to the Leicester game. There was like a comfort of, yeah, I mean, you were watching the game. It was a matter of time. If you look back, and this is what I was saying on the video. If you didn't watch the game, right, it was 5-0. You turn on the highlights. You're just watching the highlights. Only for you, Gordo. Only for you. That football's a sexual game. You were like, oh, deflection. It falls in front of Diaz. He gets a lucky goal, and then like most pass goes between the legs of the other guy, and then lands in front of Gakpo. It's a goal. Trent hits the guy's head, goes the other way. If you look at that, you were like, they scored all of these deflections. But if you watch the game, it just felt like it was a matter of time. If it didn't bounce off that guy's head, it was going to bounce off this guy's ass, or whatever the case is. It was going to go in. There was that thing of inevitability as you watch the game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's pretty funny. I think a couple of weeks ago, I don't remember what show it was on, but we were talking about Slots Liverpool, and I think I said we will never see Slots Liverpool win 5-0 because he's just not that kind of manager. And here we are, no longer than 2 weeks after, I think, or maybe this was even last week after this, or 2 weeks ago after the Spurs game. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And here we are with 5-0 and just absolutely coasting. So. And here we are heading into silly season, so we should see these next 30-ish days as so much fun as they always are.
Yeah, the bar keeps going, right? We keep talking about if they win these two now, then if they win these two now, kind of a thing. At least that's where I'm at. But I think, every time you win right now, you're that time of year. Like, I keep hearing you don't win titles in December kind of thing, which I realize, yes, you don't. But at the same time, every time you win, when you have a gap that's not like a 1 point or 2 point gap, you have like a 3-game gap almost. Every game you win, you're putting a lot more pressure. Like, Arsenal's going to have a ton of pressure going away to Brentford because they cannot afford to lose anything. Like, they almost have to win out. And you watch the Liverpool game, you have to see, even as a hater, that this was too goddamn easy for them. And they didn't, like you were saying in the beginning, like they didn't even have to get out of second gear. You have to say, we had to win every fucking game. These guys are not going to lose a lot of points. So we have to get every single point. That puts a lot of pressure. And every time you win and get 1 week closer to the end, I think it puts even more pressure on. So this is what we have, the United game that I always dread, but hopefully the last United game was the American Scouser petting zoo that we did. And, not a lot of petting, but, it was a zoo, that's for sure. And then obviously we have the Spurs. Hopefully there's no terminations. I didn't hear anything yet this morning. So let's keep Postecoglou in charge at least until this game is out of the way, so we can hopefully get some goals away and take advantage of it. And then you have the FA Cup game, which you can rotate. But those 2 games, I think right there, Forest away and Brentford away, will kind of define how it goes. Because you get 9 points from this. I think I might start walking towards the bus to sit next to...
I thought you were already on the bus. What are you talking about?
No,
you told us you're on the bus.
I do not get on the bus that easy, my friends. I do not get on the bus.
Ooh, okay.
I've already kicked City off the bus. But I am not on the parade bus yet.
Off the bus when you're not on the bus. That's not how it works.
Just like yank him as he's getting on.
As they're on the side of it.
Yeah, I mean, will you then 9 points out of these 3 games, 22 games, basically it would be 21 games in. Are you like walk me to the bus? Will you are we going towards the bus now?
I've been walking to the bus this whole time. It's just
no, you are not. You're still like looking behind you. You're gonna get run over by City.
It keeps leaving the stop every time I get close. That's the problem. I just haven't walked fast enough. So at the end of January. No, I don't know because
okay, so at the end of January, I have to click things just to make you happy. So that only gives you Ipswich. So you're like, if we beat Ipswich at home, then I'm a believer.
big one there. The only thing with January is that there's so many variables. I think, given the nonsense with the contract situations, given the potential center back issues that we have now, because before, if Gomez doesn't get hurt, I think I feel a little bit better. But now, depending on how long he's gone, it's just a little iffy. And I'm just really curious to see what happens in January, given the structure of the team, to really get a good feeling of which seat on the bus I want to take.
In some ways, I hate to say it because I really love Joe, man. I hate to see it happen to Gomez, but timing is not bad only because 1, Konate is on the way back. 2, it's January. So if it is bad, if it is like a Saka-like hamstring injury, you can say, hey, we need the center back.
But we've said that for 3-4 years. That's what I'm worried about.
We had that injury spell. We said that. Have we said did we say beginning of the season we need a center back? I didn't. We said a left-sided center back because we felt Van Dijk will need more time off. Van Dijk will try to decline. We got to get the future set up and stuff. But I don't think in depth, because I mean Kwanzaa was ahead of Konate in the eyes of a lot of people before the season started.
Yeah, but we still needed someone behind Van Dijk. So I think there still was always a bit of clatter for it.
The left-sided center back thing, I remember talking to us about that. But I think now if Gomez is more than 2 weeks or something like that, 2 to 4 weeks or something like that, I think you will need, because you got to be able to, I mean, yeah, you can play a couple of kids and stuff like that in some of these games, but not even Champions League because they're not registered or anything. So you have to still stick with what you have. Either you're going to have Gravenberg back there or something like that again. And I don't want experiments like that. Yeah. Or Endo, something like that. I just don't want those experiments so that you can still, every Liverpool fan did want a DM. But I still think the DM that everybody wants is not the DM that this team actually or slots actually needs. Because we don't need Fabinho would not play on this team, I don't think. It would be Endo. Right? But even though he's better than Endo, obviously.
Yes.
But in terms of style, I don't think he fits this midfield. You need another Gravenberg, another Mac. You need a guy it can comfortably play 8 if needed. That's the kind of player you want playing in this double pivot. because I can tell you, because I mean, a lot of people have wanted Mac to push up. Gravenberg can easily play the 8. I think the 6 you want is an 8 that's really good defensively.
Yeah, like I'd take Valverde there if we could. That'd be fine with me.
I would take Valverde, yes, as well. I don't know. Will you trade Trent for Valverde?
Yes.
Damn, that was fast. I was like, no thinking required on that one. Jesus.
I mean, because this is assuming Trent's on the way out.
He did the whole celebration. You're not buying that?
No, what I got from that is everyone's still talking. I'm doing what I want. I'm going to Madrid.
Yeah, I didn't know how to take that either. I kind of take that as you guys can talk all you want. I don't care, kind of a deal. But
what was interesting about that was Slot's comment after the game was that he said that his goal celebration should tell everyone where he's at. I think something along those lines. And that was it. I was like, no, it didn't tell us anything because we're all
really. I think it told you. You guys can keep talking. I don't care. I think it was similar to, like, he basically, to me, that puts him in the same bracket as Van Dijk and Mo, because everybody's thinking those two are gonna sign, and then like Trent is not gonna sign. Trent is the one that he might sign with Real and stuff. I kind of took that as, I mean, you don't do that, and then on like Thursday go sign with like Real, because that's just like, it's like, bro. What was this then?
I don't know. Jude Bellingham kissed the badge and told Dortmund fans he's never leaving, and then he left 2 months later. So I don't put much stock into that. I think the most interesting thing I think about Trent from yesterday was his Instagram post after the game, where Cersei just mentioned, where the second photo that he put was one where he's cupping his mouth, hiding his mouth, and whispering into Mo's ear. That was the most interesting thing from the whole Trent saga yesterday. That made me think that he was staying. That post.
But what is he saying? Maybe he's saying, "Come to Madrid with me."
Okay, fine. Maybe he is. See, I'm trying to get on your side, and then you keep pushing me back. This is why I can't get on the bus.
Can't play this game. So what is he saying there? I'm really against this whole mouth covering talking over here, like everybody's a fucking CIA agent on the pitch over here.
Let us read your lips.
Say what you want to say. What?
I said, let us read your lips, goddammit.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus. Like, what are you saying that this time? I mean, that one I can understand, but what did he like even say? And I felt like it was an odd choice to put on Instagram as well as the photo, not a celebration, but that as the photo.
He just, I don't know.
That's just a good, like, do the caption kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's just cheeky.
Yeah, I guess Bellingham did the same thing. I did forget about that. If Gomez left in the summer, we were asking for a CB. I remember the left-sided center back thing, because I think at the time we were like, Dan Gomez can be the right back and left back backup and stuff like that, but we did not expect like fuck any of this for the most part, but a lot of it, I guess. And in terms of like the style we're playing, and I still think and say that this is not the okay. Let me answer that. Like Slot, right? I mean, I feel like we still don't know how exactly he wants to play, what kind of a right back he wants, what kind of a left back he wants. This is how he wants to play with what he has. Do you think like he's like, well, this is working, so obviously let's stick with this, or he still says, no, like this is the kind of left back I need for this. This is the kind of, I don't know, 8 I need for this kind of a deal.
That's a good
question. He goes with the results and says, well, this is fucking working.
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's working because he can adapt because the players are good. I think if the players weren't necessarily as skilled as they are, he'd have a harder time maybe justifying playing the way he's playing right now, because it'd be harder to make them play a different way because they wouldn't be good enough, kind of thing. I think when you inherit a team that is full of players who are some of the best at their position around the world, you can sacrifice a bit of your style to make things work. But if you're inheriting,
never said Postecoglou.
Hey, who do they have that's the best at their positions around the world outside of Son?
That's a good point. Let's see.
Like, they've got quality, but they don't have world class at all positions. You know what I mean? Or I feel like maybe I'm biased, but I think Liverpool genuinely has like top 6 to top 8 at every position in the world, maybe outside of left back and striker.
Yeah, because I don't know where the hell you would put Diaz, but I think every player you would, for the most part, put it in a top 3 or top 5 right now in Europe, right? I mean, Gakpo, the way he's playing on the left. So Gakpo, Gravenberg probably. McAllister was just freaking amazing. It got lost in the mix, I feel like, yesterday. I thought he was freaking amazing. But yeah, you're
Jones
right.
Jones did so
Yes.
much of what we love Soboslai for. You know, he put in amazing work rate yesterday. He was running all over the pitch. He
Yep.
it kind of if you could block out who the player is, can just do a silhouette. You would think that that was Sobo going around playing the way that he was playing because they looked so similar yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the Leicester game where he kind of struggled, he even admitted that, he struggled finding space on like that low block and stuff. He was a lot better too. I mean, you look at yesterday, and I think we said this, God, man, like that's what's so crazy about this is the last 2-3 games, you look at the performance and you can, yesterday, maybe you can say Robertson was average. I mean, apart from that one mistake, I thought he did well. Like, he wasn't great, but he was like, average. But you can't, I mean, every other player you feel like was above average or great the way they played. I mean, you can normally say, I mean, if Nunez misses what Mo misses yesterday, you might be like, what the hell is Nunez being Nunez? But that's the thing with Mo, like, all those he missed, which I was okay with that. I don't want like a 9-0 this week and then like a clunker against United next week that we can get one. Just save it for next week. So we'll keep it going, kind of a deal. But he still was creating. He still got the assist and stuff like that. So he still adds a lot to the game and the build up and all that. Serzi says he wanted Zubi. I think we may. So I think so. I know there are a lot of people like he said no once and like make it like a fucking pride thing. I mean, you ask the guy in the last minutes, and I think people don't realize there's a lot of other family decisions that go along with just, oh, Liverpool wanted me, hold on, and then just like run out of the shower and start, going to the airport. Like, you just gotta fucking like look at everything. I feel like they were not ready at the time. He felt he wasn't ready at the time. Do you think something like that happens, first of all?
Yeah, I think if a player becomes available that there was interest in the summer, and it might beyond Zubamendi, because we don't know what other concrete interest there was for other players, but I think if there was interest in the summer and in the January window they happen to become more available or less expensive, if you will, I think we see that kind of move, and I don't think it's going to be one of those, hey, this is a replacement for someone starting kind of move. Like you're saying, you don't want to bring in someone that's going to rock the boat a bit. You want to bring in someone who's going to add the necessary depth that you need, that can potentially challenge for a starting position without coming in with this expectation that they are taking the position from player X or player Y. Because I think they have to earn that trust in that position rather than just get it guaranteed. I think that's, not to shit on United, it's really easy to do it right now, but I think part of the problem with United and who they were buying was the transfers they were making. I think because of the money, one, and because of who the player was, two, they came in with this expectation of, I am starting, this is my spot, I'm not here to earn a spot, I have this spot. And it didn't work, right? So you want to make sure that whoever you're getting in, yes, you don't want someone who's destined to be on the bench, because otherwise, what's the point of doing depth just for depth? You want someone that can potentially play 90 minutes if you need them, but you also don't want to bring in a character that feels like they deserve to play just for the sake of transfer.
I think that's what makes Superman the thing tricky, though, because in the summer, it was more what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
The spot was ready.
Yeah.
Like you did the lineup and there was like an opening there, and you're like, slide over, you're going to be there, kind of a deal. Well, that's not the case anymore. You're going to be part of the rotation. And I think that's why I don't know if Zubimanda thing will happen, because that has changed over time. I still think Mac is better in this role than more advanced, and you have Soboslai there. So I don't know if Zubimendi will be like, oh yeah, rotation. Now I'm sold, and then like come over because of that. Because let's face it, there'll be other teams that will want him where he can go and start. I mean, Liverpool right now is one of the hardest teams to get into the starting lineup. It'd be different if you were like a left back or even like a center back or something like that. I think you can be like, hey, maybe I might be able to squeeze in. But like if you're a winger coming in, you're like, well, I'm not starting. And I guess that goes back to then the only guys that you can probably get are going to be guys who are okay with that. And you're looking at like then an Endo like player, which I don't think Edwards and them do. So brings me, that's the only part that makes me kind of pessimistic about adding depth, because I think the guys that you would want might not want to come over now, and the guys that would want to come over, you might be like, you're too old or whatever, unless we find a good deal. And that's all I really want, really, a guy that's similar. I don't care if they're like late 20s or whatever, that can come in and do the job that Mac and Gravenberg, so you can rest them. I mean, I loved what he did yesterday. I know it was more yellow cards than rest, but the moment it was for, like, he yanked those two guys out. You to be able to do that, I think you need that rotation depth. That's the only spot I feel like we don't have rotation depth.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we talk about this all the time. It's really easy to sit here and say, "Oh yeah, get this guy in and get this guy in. They'll come. They'll want to come." You can't always sell that to someone if you can't guarantee them playing time. I think you have that example that you use all the time, right? You have, if you're the father of a son that has the chance to go and either be on the bench for Liverpool or be a starter and potentially a star for, like a Brentford or something like that, right? And then which one do you pick? A lot of these guys, they're competitive, they want to play. Yes, some of them, they're going to be driven by the competition within the team to want to earn that spot. But when you have another possibility to go somewhere where you're going to be the guy, it's really hard to convince people to come to a team to potentially back someone up for a long time.
Yeah.
And we forget that it's not like a video game. You can't turn off the satisfaction meter and everyone's happy all the time. It just doesn't work that way.
So that you guys know, send a memo out. We are choosing my son. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, if you take Liverpool out of the equation, if I told you, he's going to be on the bench for Brentford or is going to start for Palace, you're probably, or let's say, well, not Spurs. That's not a good example either. It's hard to find a team towards the top that we don't hate on. But yeah, he could go to Chelsea where they sign 85 guys and be a bench player in a, like a higher up, like a top 6 team, or he can go start on Palace. I think you're saying go start in Palace, then you'll make your move, is probably what I would say. I mean, obviously, so many variables go into that, but that's the only thing that scares me about Zubimendi right now. But I'd be shocked and very impressed with him, actually, if he says, that sounds good to me. You guys got something going over here, and I want to be a part of it, kind of a deal. That would be over here. Yes, from the back. I think that's really awkward, right? That feels like a rec team. They're like, how come his son plays all the time, kind of a deal. It's just like, son, go in there. You know what I want, kind of a deal. So yeah, that has to be awkward in the locker room. I just don't even know. Like, I don't think I would do that as a club, just because you would think. But then again, that is Simone. He is the club in some ways, right? It's like Klopp. If Klopp's son was there, he would be there, and you would then be like, it best, like, and you would just leave him in charge. I think it's that kind of he's kind of like a cult figure there, whatever it says goes. But mind you, he was almost canned like a year or so ago. Like, there were rumors that he was going to leave. So New Year's Eve, what are we doing for that? What kind of Polish festivities are we? No, non-Polish, American festivities.
I mean, no,
festivities.
I was just shaking because there's not really anything we're going to do. We're just going to be hanging out at Michelle's parents' house. Pretty much, I think the theme is just pajama party kind of thing. Just get casual, cozy, not go out. Poland, the Polish TV channel that everyone watches here in the States, they do a big New Year's Eve music bash for like 8 hours where people just go and play live music. Different artists do.
But that's the day, right? Because their New Year's is what, 6 o'clock here?
It's usually 6 hours ahead. So yeah. It goes on for about until 8 o'clock, and then it's a bit of a rerun. So we watch it from the beginning, kind of thing. um, which is fine. And yeah, so we're not going out. We're just gonna keep it really casual.
So that's background music. Like, what do you guys just sit in front of? Because here's the thing: like, people would kill me because that's what we used to do. Like, watch and make fun of whatever the hell is going on TV. Especially the local one is usually, um, you know, it's like the local like Chicago one. That's a bash, dude. If you never done it, you gotta watch that because it's an hour of just cringe. As you go, Irishman football says, and I do agree with this as well. But that's part of the ordeal, right? I think, but I know what he means because I don't think some people understand that that's part of the ordeal, and they won't want to left back because they're like, I mean, I love Robo too, but it is time to kind of like get the young guy in. In an ideal scenario, Robo would be his backup and we would move Costas, but then who would serve Mo his coffee? So that's what we were doing. So we're watching TV, pajama party. I thought there would be. Are there like butlers going around or they're serving?
Not in this house.
What is the food thing then? Not in this house. Maybe in my palace, but not in this dump.
I don't know what the menu is for tomorrow yet. I think Michelle.
Is there like a traditional Polish New Year's Eve thing? No.
Okay. No. I think no. It's I think very much there. I genuinely can't tell you what the traditional New Year's Eve would be for Poland because we've never really done that specifically. Like Christmas Eve and Easter, those are the really big two that you culturally keep going from the motherland. New Year's Eve isn't really up top on that list. It's more of
sell out in New Year's.
Yeah, it's more of a hey, just drink this vodka, whatever comes around goes around kind of thing, and yeah, you can go for it. So I think we're still discussing what's going to be on the menu for tomorrow.
Yeah, mind you, I mean, I don't have any. It's just me and Ange this year, so we have no idea what the hell we're doing. We don't know what the hell we're eating, so we're gonna have to figure those out as we go over here. Because the girls, Jazz is in Milwaukee. Layla, I think, is working, and then she'll party over. I think she's actually working through the New Year's Day party at the London House downtown. So I mean, it's a good place to be, especially this weather over here. That feels like
crazy.
I mean, it doesn't feel like Chicago. First of all, I mean, we're walking around. It felt like. Not even Halloween. It was like an early October weather right now, which I probably jinxed it. It'll fucking get 8 inches tonight. But tonight I'll be on with Gally. I think Bickler's out of action tonight, but it'll be Gally and I at 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. By the way, Eichmann says in Krakow at winter, food was good. He did not have that jelly thing with the peas is all I know because that did not look good at all. Pierogies is what I'm going to stick with when it comes to Polish food. But like I say, I'll be back tonight. If you have not done so, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, pass the word. We did beat the 1,000 goal that we set for ourselves. So thanks a lot again for that.
10,000 this year.
Kind of a fun year. We'll probably do like a recap of the year and all that kind of stuff. Look at some of the stuff we did this year tonight. So do tune in for that. Tell us your New Year's Eve plans. I just realized today's the 30th. Actually, we're talking about tomorrow night. It felt like I had a couple more days to kind of plan something with Ange. I just realized we're talking about tomorrow. So it should be exciting. Have a great week, everybody. Happy New Year's. If you do not join us and we don't see you guys tonight. Until then, take care. See ya.